Welcome to the Studio Automation webinar. I'm Harold Everts and I will be hosting the webinar today. You might have seen me before at one of our previous webinars. My role at VidiGo is demo artist and trainer. Our previous webinar was about VidiGo graphics. We got some great responses from you guys, so that's why we decided to do another webinar. And this webinar is all about how you can automate a live TV production. At the end of this webinar, there will be time for questions. So please use the GoToWebinar client to ask any questions you have during the webinar. I will do my best to answer all your questions, but probably we won't have enough time to answer them all. So please don't be shy. Send in your questions via the GoToWebinar client. And if I don't answer your question during the webinar, your question will be answered via email by one of our sales representatives. If you would like to receive more information or if you would like to get a one-on-one demo, please contact our sales team as well at sales@vidigo.tv. Again, for more information regarding pricing and more in-depth one-on-one demos, contact sales@vidigo.tv. So let's get to the topic of this webinar, studio automation. To be able to fully understand the concept of our solution, the studio automation solution, we have to start at the beginning. That's why we will start with a short introduction of VidiGo Live, our IT-based live production suite, and then I will explain more about the 3 layers of automation: the macros, scripts, and Live Assist. After that, we will look into a case study of a recent installation for 8 regional TV stations we did here in Europe. And then, of course, again, as I mentioned before, there will be room for some questions. So don't be shy. Send your questions through the GoToWebinar client, and we will try to answer them live on air. Automation is a hot topic, especially in the broadcast industry. Budgets are getting smaller, and broadcasters have to find innovative ways to keep up with high demand for content. With VidiGo Studio Automation, you can automate the entire live production workflow, which means you can work much more efficient and cost-effective. We let you create more content with less resources. Like I said, we need to start at the beginning, and we start with VidiGo Live. VidiGo Live is a powerful live production suite. It has everything you need to create a live show. Let's have a look at the VidiGo Live interface. It includes 4 to 12 camera inputs, 4 video players, 2 graphics engines that include the VidiGo Composer, our powerful graphics template builder, a vision mixer that allows you to create multi-layered scenes, an audio mixer, the macros, which we will talk about later on, and also the scripts, which we will have a look at later on during this webinar. And again, of course, we also support all kinds of DVE effects as well with the vision mixer. Macros and scripts are 2 automation layers that are included in VidiGo Live. So let's look at macros first. Macros allow you to store several actions that you can play back by pressing a single button. So for example, you can then select source, video players, a particular transition effect, and you can record or store these all under one button. Audio fader position, start video players, video source selections, remote camera settings, transition controls, and you can store all these under one preset button. The second automation layer is scripts. With scripts, you can automate different events in VidiGo Live. For example, the macros that we just mentioned can be part of a script. But you can also script graphics layers, transitions, loading in assets, script and communicate with the API commands, So again, macros, one push of a button, you can recall and a stored one-touch button preset on VidiGo Live. The scripts takes macros into a little script, allowing you to also control additional things like the graphics layers and additional API commands. An important part of studio automation is VidiGo Live Assist. It allows you to create a running order for your show. Each running order is divided into scenes, and each scene then consists of one or multiple VidiGo Live events. For example, camera inputs, video files, images, dynamic graphics, or commands can be part of a scene. A running order can either be created manually or through integration with a newsroom system. This might sound a bit complicated, so let me just show you how it works. I will now start to show you my screen, and you can take a look at how VidiGo Live Assist is used. So at this moment, when you look at the webinar, on the left you probably still have me, and on the right you can actually see the VidiGo Live Assist that we are using at this moment to produce the webinar. So every step that we took, every graphical element has been broken down into scenes, and these scenes are what we're using at this moment for the webinar. Let me just stop this and show you how it all works. So I'm going to now create a completely new running order. So let's start with new. Do you want to save this? Yes. So this is an empty Live Assist running order. I need a glass of water. And from this stage on, I can then decide to either manually import scenes, scene items. So I'll start off with the manual operation of it. I will say I want a new scene, position it on my running order. I can name the scene if needed, so let's call this one Herald. And then once I've got my scene, I can then select to either add camera objects, video files, image files, graphics, audio, or commands if needed. So I'll start off simple by selecting a camera object, and at this stage I can then decide in which layer do I want to position this particular camera object. So do I need it in the background, program, in the overlay, or on my auxiliary channel? So I'll go with program at the moment, and I'll drag it and make it about 20 seconds. By double clicking on an object, I can then go into the properties of the object, and now you can see that camera 1 is selected. And people, if you are not able to see everything clearly, the GoToWebinar client can be dragged from side to side to enlarge the camera, me, or the Live Assist window. So please make sure that you drag the windows to your likings. So I can now switch this, for instance, and make it switch to camera 2 or camera 3. The camera 1 is fine for now. Additionally, I can then say I need a video file as well, so I'll drag in a video file. Let's add that to the overlay. Double click. I can then browse, locate the file that I need, and it loads in the file. I can select which video player I want to use and load this file in. But in this case, I'm going to go for automatic source selection. So I want the software to think about which video player could be free. One is going to choose between any of the 4 video players and see which one is not in use and load in the file in there. I can use auto update length to check if the file length has been changed, yes or no. It will then automatically update that for me. And additionally, I can then, for instance, drag in graphical templates and use this in this manner. So again, I can create scene after scene, drag in objects, position them in the layers that I need, and create my scenes for a complete show, complete rundown. You can also use a newsroom automation system, and the way we do that is that we use VidiGo Translator. So in this case, again, I've done everything manually, but if you're using a newsroom automation system, the workflow would be to go and select the translator, because depending on what type of newsroom automation system you have, VidiGo Live speaks a certain language, or the API, the VidiGo API is written in a certain language, and then the newsroom automation system is written in another language. Often it's the same text, the same protocol, XML or NSML files, but camera might mean something else to us than to another automation system. So what we've done is we've got VidiGo Live performing all the actions. We've got the VidiGo Live Assist as an automation layer on top of that that's able to drive the actions to VidiGo Live. But if you want to send the rundown from a third-party newsroom automation system, we will then use the translator to translate the data, the XML or NSML data from that newsroom automation system into something that VidiGo Live Assist understands, and it will then populate the rundown for you. So select translator. You can even select the show depending on what type of templates you use for translator, and you would then say start translator. What will happen then is it will load in again the full running order, and VidiGo Live Assist is connected over a TCP/IP and socket port to a VidiGo Live set, and it will send the commands and actions to a VidiGo Live set. So I'm going to load in a running order that we were using earlier during the webinar. So this is the webinar demo. So you can see that I've loaded in a particular demo. And I can now start the first scene. If I start, it will start playing the video file. The video file will chroma key back to me. And then it will go to a graphical template, add my name to the template. And from this stage on, I can then decide which scene to go next, or automatically have it at the end of the scene go to the next scene. So let's try out scene number 2. This is a picture-in-picture, and you are now looking at the control room where Kimberly is sitting. Kimberly is doing all the marketing and publishing for VidiGo, but today she was also the operator for this webinar. So she was, or still is, in the control room. So let's have a look at a split screen of us showing me and Kimberly in the control room next to me. Again, VidiGo Studio Automation is all about VidiGo Live, VidiGo Live Assist, and the translator. If you have any questions, please, again, use the GoToWebinar client to ask your questions, and we will get back to those later on. So now that you've seen how you can easily create a rundown in VidiGo Live Assist, again, we did an installation recently for 8 regional stations, and the primary goal there was to use and create rundowns from iNews. The client wanted to automatically place content from iNews into running orders in Live Assist, and the challenge here was that iNews and Live Assist don't speak the same language. So for the integration, we have used the VidiGo Translator, and this makes it possible, again, for Live Assist to automatically collect content from, in this case, iNews, and the editor then makes a running order, or the translator makes a running order with variables, and the running order template, we call those. And it can be filled with different type of news content each day. And in this matter, everything is still going on in iNews, and for the broadcaster in this case, the workflow is still in iNews. The translator takes care of everything and sets it into VidiGo Live Assist. I am drinking a lot of water today. We are nearing the end of this webinar. I hope that you enjoyed it and that I was able to explain everything to you. Again, if you have any questions, please use the Go to Webinar client to ask them. So let's see if we have some questions already that are coming in. And again, great feedback from you guys. So I am now fully in the digital era, a digital age, I should say, and I can see the questions on my monitor over here. So the first question that I've got is, for sports, does it do replays? The answer is no. We are not recording and doing slow-mos or replays and things like that. On the other hand, if you have the means of recording and you are able to produce that as a file, as soon as that file is available, we can then load that in a template, of course. So VidiGo Live itself doesn't do any recording for replays, but as soon as you have a device that is able to produce a file, we can pick up the file as soon as the file is ready. What about the CG? Can we see it in action? The CG, I didn't cover the CG that much because I did a previous webinar on the CG. So if you go to YouTube, there is also a webinar available. A new and improved version of this, of the composer. But again, there's a webinar that I did a few weeks back explaining this. And if you have the opportunity, please visit us at the NAB, and we'll be able to show you the new composer with added features. Stream, does it stream? No, we do not do anything with recording or streaming. VidiGo Live runs on a computer, a PC, and we don't want to jeopardize anything regarding quality or performance. And also, when you're looking at streaming, what type of quality stream do you want? So if we were to do all this in one box, we feel that would compromise quality and performance. So we opted to leave that out, and there are dedicated third-party manufacturers that create great streaming solutions and applications. So streaming, does it stream? No. Pan-tilt zoom control, that it does indeed. I'm not sure if I'm able to do it, but maybe Kimberly, you can help me out. Kimberly is in the control room, so she can switch to camera 2. So I'm looking at her. Just revert it. Bottom right, revert. Yes, and add it on air, and then you can show them that you're basically controlling the camera. So I don't have any camera controls written in my script or in my automation, but Kimberly is now from the software, so maybe you can even try and zoom in on the software. Oh, that's him in front of a green screen. Oops, what are we doing? They're not supposed to see that. But Kimberly is now from the software controlling the cameras, and this can also be done from the API. So she's slowly zooming in and controlling it from the API. So I didn't prepare that as part of the script, but yes, it is certainly possible to control the cameras. Okay, let's see, one or two more questions, and then we're unfortunately running out of time. So another question that came in here is, do you support, similar to pan-tilt zoom camera control, do you support routers and recorders? The answer there is we have the translator in between. We have our API, so on a project-by-project basis, we look at what is needed to control. We do control routers and recorders, and so far, routers, I haven't been involved in the projects, but the recorder, we have recently For camera control, we do Panasonic, Sony, and Eaglehead. I've seen in projects. For recording, AJA and Vitec. I've seen in projects, and routers, you have to forgive me. But again, we work with an API, our own API, the translator in between. So when we need to communicate with third-party devices, we use the translator and API to send commands back and forth. And this is all happening over a TCP/IP connection. So we're staying in the compliant and control area. So another question is, do we support MOS? The answer is yes and no. Again, we went for the translator approach. So we have our API, a translator in between. So when we go into a project, we look at the MOS interface that we need to communicate with. We look at third-party devices that we need to communicate with. And we use the translator then to translate the commands between MOS and our API and vice versa. And do we have more questions, Kimberly? Otherwise, I have a last one here. So this is the last question. How long does it take to integrate? How long does it take to integrate? That's also a tricky question, because it really depends on the project and the project needs. So that can be anything from two weeks up to 2 years, to be honest. So depending on the setup, a small setup running VidiGo Live Assist and doing things manually, you could be up and running in 1 or 2 weeks, because it's all done from our own software, our own API and commands. But as soon as you go into an integration part, a studio automation integration part, then it really depends on what type of cameras we need to communicate with. If they're already in our portfolio, that saves time. Do we need to connect the recorders? Do we need to integrate with MOS protocols, additional devices? So again, this is a tricky question, but it can be anywhere from 2 weeks. The typical, usually it takes about, I think, 6 to 8 weeks if the preparation part has been done beforehand. It's about 6 to 8 weeks to roll out a project. But again, it's a tricky question. That is all for today, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any more questions, if you come up with any more questions, please contact our sales team via sales@vidigo.tv. For, again, any in-depth demo, you can contact our sales department. But it would be, of course, nice if you could visit us at NAB next week. We will be there, and our booth number is SL12105. So please, if you have the opportunity, you want a more in-depth demo, you want to see everything working live in action, or you want to play around with the software, please visit us at NAB next week. Our booth number is SL12105. You can contact our sales team to book a meeting, or just go to our website, www.vidigo.tv. But of course, you can also anytime walk in, and we'll be glad to have you and show you our products. Thank you for watching today, and I hope to see you at the NAB.